Hello, everyone, and welcome to my fourth ever episode of Zero Effort Game Reviews. And today we are going to be reviewing God of War. I have just finished the game on stream. It took me roughly 16, 17 hours. And yeah, I feel like I might have a little bit of a controversial opinion about on this one. Some people may say it's a shit take, but it is my take. So, jumping right into it. Visual art and direction, visual art and like art design, all that sort of stuff. In terms of the world, beautiful. In terms of the character design, beautiful. In terms of the like enemies, like the actual humanoid enemies, beautiful. In terms of the actual mobs, some of them amazing. Like the giants, great. Elementals, cool looking. The Draugr, or the eyeballs, or the flying things. I will say revenants or like the witch type things look cool, but there weren't a lot of mob types, and a lot of them were just reskinned and very uninteresting to look at. But that was like my one gripe in terms of visual art direction. In terms of like, I am very seldomly a person that enjoys mocap, especially in terms of emotion, because it just feels off. They nailed it here. I really want to say I never liked it. I loved it in this. I got sold a mocap because of this game. It was great. So yeah, everything in the game was beautiful. Weapons, character design, side characters, and all that sort of stuff, except for mobs. Outside of a few. A lot of them sucked. Cool. Story and characters. This is not my controversial take. This is this is just 100 out of 10. Fuck it. Just masterpiece. If this was a story, if this was just cutscene after cutscene, I'd give this a masterpiece. Because the characters, the voice acting, the dialogue was amazing, especially between Kratos and Atreus. The pacing of the story, when you don't put the gameplay involved in it, when you just talk about the story, was fucking great. The cinematography and the seamlessness between cut when it did happen in boss fights, most of the time between the gameplay, quick time events, and the actual cutscenes themselves were seamless. Or even like when you're going in between areas when Atreus and Kratos are talking with each other and creating a bit more of a bond and the little quips and stuff like that, kind of showing their characters. Amazing fucking like idea of like how they like bounce off each other, and it kind of you engage the person while they're traversing different areas, and even the puzzles of like going from X, Y to Z felt great. I have nothing more to really say in terms of like, well, the Norse lore was really cool, and the side character interaction. It's very seldom to like all the side characters. I liked all the side characters, and even the enemies outside of two were very understandable, relatable. I got them. I understood their plight. I felt for them, and I felt bad when they died. That's a hard thing to do. They nailed it. Hands down. Starring characters, masterpiece. Also, music and sound design, masterpiece. They really like nailed the booming like Viking like singing, and like in their Nordic tongues, and like they knew when to like hit you with the emotional like song beats or the somberness or no music. They were really good with this. In terms of the story, once again, if this was a movie, masterpiece. Masterpiece. In terms of like the weapon designs and all these sort of things and the sounds that they made. Masterpiece. But let's get into the gameplay. This is where I'm going to have a very controversial opinion. But I want to start off with the positives. I think the actual combat in itself was fucking amazing. Some of the best I have seen ever. It's very Devil May Cry-esque to me. I don't really like, actually, I'm like comparing because, you play so many of these games that eventually just like, oh, I really love the Devil May Cry combat system. It's fast, it's fluid, and it's visceral. I love that word, visceral. In God of War, it's visceral. The executions, loved them. Never got bored. When you do them onto a boss, that R3, whew, loved it. When you get those trolls and they go around pounding stuff, great idea, guys. I never like QuickTime events. I loved your QuickTime events. That's another thing. I loved your QuickTime events. They were some of my favorite parts of this game. So yeah, the two weapons that you primarily get, the axe, throwing and catching back, and the skills, animations, feel of it, you nailed it. Chaos blades, same thing, nailed it. The arrows, like Atreus shooting, I forgot about it most of the time. Not gonna lie, it wasn't the most amazing thing, but you know, it was serviceable. It wasn't bad. I much rather if he just shot, or like if I targeted something with the axe or something, that he would just shoot that target. Which is another thing. I kind of do not like the like. I understand it was for puzzles, but if I lock onto something and if I lift, I want the axe to automatically be thrown at that thing. I do know that it was designed so that you could like lock on to multiple and twist and throw, and that's probably more of a nitpick on my end than other. But like, I just if I see something flying, trying to like hit it in a hack and slash is not necessarily fun to me. I'm not a huge fan of FPS, so small gripe on my end. But that's not actually one of the major things that I actually have a problem with. So yeah, comboing with your different sort of weapons, so good. The rune system where you can switch out the different skills, super good. Like the skill tree and level up, and it's just like, eh. I honestly forgot how to like. I forgot to level up myself a lot of time. Near the end, I was like, wait, none of my skills are leveled up, which made a lot of sense why they did no damage. But I was playing on medium, so I like a qualifier. I played on medium because I just wanted to have a fun experience. We'll go into it soon. The gearing was also really cool. It's very seldom that you have like gear that actually really does change the way that the combat does, and they did do that here. I will say that I didn't like in terms of the game design or like the like layout where I didn't get to unlock a lot of the cool stuff because it's mostly end game, but they show me, hey, you can have this, and then proceed to not let me have it for the entirety of the game, and I still didn't have the mats for it because I didn't explore, which I'll go into details as to a little bit more why. So a lot of this game to me personally while I was playing it, and I like put a fair amount of like hours into it, like, you know, 17, 16, just going around. And if I really, really put in more, like I know people can put up to 50 something hours, but I still feel that being able to unlock some of the really cool stuff from the main playthrough might have been a good idea. Like if I killed the final dude, being able to get a legendary like weapon or something like armor to use, even though it's like the weakest out of them, would have been nice. The fact that I just a lot of this game felt like there's cool stuff. You just have to keep on playing to get it. And I finished the game. It's like you're still not allowed to get it. Felt like I don't say it's a bad game design, but it just felt like they were taunting stuff in front of me, like the carrot on a stick, and I kept on chasing and I couldn't get it. Which actually kind of leads into the parts that I didn't like. The story and the combat, music, sound design, and visual were all amazing. Until it comes to a grinding halt with the puzzles. If puzzles are short, to the point, they're great. But when you have to hit something, go to a different location, do it again, go back to a different location, do it again, and like, oh wait, I was wrong, and do that again and again and again for 5 to 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, depending on like how dumb you are. It bogs you down when you're fighting, and it's really fun. And then you have to start doing these trap puzzles, and if you die to them in one go, sure, don't die to them. At what point did you guys think that that was fun? Like, I understand the concept of the idea that if you just have pure combat, that people get bored. I loved the traversal. Simple traversal puzzles are great. Simple puzzles are great. Puzzles with long animations and where you have to go from point A to point B and like look around. A lot of people would probably be like they didn't love it, but you know, it's a minor gripe. To me, it was a pretty major gripe because I was so enthralled in the combat and in the story, and then I would get yanked out of it. It's like I was reading a book, a great book, loved it, riveting, and then someone would just yank it out and say, no more for 10, 20 minutes. But can't, no. That's what it felt like to me. I hated the puzzles. And after the final part, actually, before that, why is there no jump? I'm not exactly sure why, but the lack of jump Seems a little bit dumb to me in a God of War game. I don't know if I've never played 1 to 3. I didn't like the fact that there wasn't a jump because jumping combat would have been cool too. But maybe that was the limitation or something of the engine. I have no idea. I just didn't know why there wasn't a jump. There was some times where you're just like, well, why can't I just jump off the ledge here? And they're like, no. Which was a bit dumb, which kind of made traversal around some of the levels tedious. But yeah. Now to the final part. There are certain game designs in terms of mobs that I absolutely hate. And something that a lot of people don't really realize when it comes to video games is combat weapons and how they use and how they all these things are really, really important. But mob placement and how mobs function against different sort of weapons are nearly just as important as the actual combat in itself. God of War fails, in my opinion, greatly in the mob department. The fact that the mobs come in. Okay. I hate invulnerability. I hate running away. I hate you can only damage it using a certain weapon type or a certain skill consistently, and then have a large HP pool. Then add all of these things together. Or unblockable stuff constantly where you just have to just constantly dodge without any solution to it outside of dodge. When you combine all 4 of these things together, it is hella tedious. If I am using the Leviathan Great Axe or Leviathan Axe, I don't care if I do 1 damage. I still want to have access to the weapon where I can have fun. If I am going ham in a group of enemies and this one dude has a shield and I literally just have to wait in front of him, I vaguely remember there were certain runes and such that you can buy where you can break shields and stuff like that. And people would probably argue, yeah, you just needed the rune. Unacceptable. That should have just been a base built-in feature. The fact that there wasn't a feature where I could just throw the Chaos Blades, rip the shield off, or I can use the axe with a heavy attack and break the shield, I do not know why that wasn't in the game. I will say, maybe that if you leveled up the axe or something to the fullest, that was occurrence. But throughout my main playthrough, and the fact that it wasn't obvious to me to do that at any point in time, I feel like it was a great understatement. The fact that, like, if a red thing came up, I'm like, well, I can only hit it with the Leviathan axe, and then I'll have blue. Like, for the last boss, certain boss fights, I think it's fine. But when it comes to mobs and, like, repeated mobs, it becomes tedious, right? Because you want to do combat in the way that you want. Devil May Cry, or like the remake, the reboot 5, not the new one, but like the one where it's like emo Dante, they had that mechanic in it. I hated that mechanic so much that I never played the game until the remaster came out and they took out the mechanic and you do bonus damage if you use an angel weapon. That was smart. They should have taken it out in God of War. I do kind of get that they did it was a kind of an important part of their mechanic. I really hope they take it out in the new one because it ripped me out of the fun of the combat every time. I'm like, oh wait, I have to switch my weapon. If it was just simply they receive bonus damage from the other weapon, that's fine. That's incentivizing me to switch the weapon, and that gives me the option. When you rip the option out of my hands, when you've created a great combat system, an amazingly fun combat system, and then say, you can't use it. Elementals. This cool thing. I don't care if I have to whack it on the legs a couple of times before a weak spot comes out or something, or I can do cool combos. The fact that it receives 0 damage until it decides to open up and then I throw something into the middle and then it does damage. In certain games, it's fine. In a game like God of War, where you are literally a god with the ginormous like fuck you hammer and chaos blades that completely rip the shit out of everything, and you're telling me that I'm just having to deal with ting, 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 and waiting around and then throwing. Who thought that was fun? I hated every single time I saw an elemental. I was like, I visually groaned. And I just wanted to walk away because I really didn't care. Certain games work, like in Zelda, those iron golem things where you have to climb up to them and bash that rock thing. That's fun because it fits within the game scheme. I'm playing God of War where I want to combo stuff, where I want to use the cool weapons and the animations and stuff that you guys developed, and you basically created a mob design or enemy design where there is no comboing, or you created another mob that you're not allowed to use that weapon. Or another mob where the shield will deliberately stop your combos when there's a group of mobs until you wait for it to hit you so you can bash it out. And maybe there's runes or maybe there's upgrades that should have been in the base combat in itself. And I'm like heating up on this because I love this game. This game was awesome. And I'm so frustrated that it was these changes. I feel in playtesting, they could have switched it out. In a new update, they could have just switched it out. And I would have, without a fucking doubt, given this game, even with the lack of mob variety, a masterpiece rating. And I'm frustrated because I really wanted to give it to them. But when all of the good is here, and then every time that I have to hit another puzzle for 10-20 minutes, or that the combat slows down again because it's a shield dude, or it's the invulnerable dude that just does the perilous, the undodgeable moves, and I just have to dodge, and wait for a while. Or, I can only hit using this certain thing. This game, a lot of the time, felt to me as if the developers were like, we made all this cool stuff, you're not allowed to use it. Because we couldn't find a way to make you use it in a fun, unique way. Which I found, because it's weird, right? Because they did the hard part. And then they just dropped the ball on the easy stuff. I enjoyed the giants the most. Why? Because I could just go ham on them and dodge and use combos and do unique stuff. I know that a lot of people probably would have hated them the most. They were the most fun. Minus the actual boss fights with the Norse gods. I will say, quick time events, cinematography to gameplay, and the Norse god fight scenes were some of the best shit I have ever fucking seen in a PS4 game. Hands down. It was so good. I'd play through the game just to do those fights again. Because they were so cool. The first time that you meet Baldur sent chills. How cool it was. And I was just sad that they had there's 3 to 4 peaks in the game and then several hours of puzzle and you're not allowed to use this weapon or you're just stuck with this. And I really do feel like if they cut it out, it would have been better. Heck, if they just left it traversal, simplified puzzles, and them just talking with each other in between areas, this game would have been a masterpiece. I'm playing God of War because of the combat. Not because I want to throw my axe and solve puzzles, and not because I want to be like, I'm not allowed to use my axe or my weapons. And I'm so sad about that. But because of it, I have to give God of War great, not a masterpiece. If it was a movie and there wasn't any gameplay, it would be a masterpiece easily. But because it's a video game, and those two aspects were so massively jarring to me, I can't, with a good conscience, give it a masterpiece ranking. So yeah, I am ready. If anyone ever bothers to watch this one day, berate the living crap out of me in the comments about how much of a dumb opinion it is. But hey, at least I'm being honest. I love the game. I really did. I was flipping between giving it a masterpiece or a grade throughout the entire playthrough. By the end, when they constantly threw me the mobs that I just hated and more puzzles in between the fights, I just was like, you guys really didn't understand. They even at a point, they said, more puzzles. If you understood that, why'd you put it in it? I understand that you made it, and that's why you felt like the need to put it in. These are one of the situations that if you took it out, I would have enjoyed the experience way, way, way more. But at the end of the day, it is just my humble opinion. Hearing on the internet other people's opinions about the game, a lot of people didn't mind it as much. And maybe I'm just like the outlier that really, really just really hated it for some reason. But hey, at the end of the day, my review, not theirs. So thanks for watching, guys. I will be playing through Hollow Knight, I believe, next, and I'll see you in the 5th review for Hollow Knight. Peace.